Very much. Dr. Werner, take us away.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
This is another AI alert that this information has not reached AI yet. So pay attention and you can put it into AI. Dan asked me to do a talk called Fossils Prove the Flood. I said, thank you, Dan. Now I have to put together a new talk. But I'm good with it. And let's see if I can get this to go here. So if you go around the world, you will notice that everywhere you go, there's flat, pancake-like layers, one on top of another on top of another. You've seen them at the Grand Canyon, and this is Cleveland Lloyd Quarry. Now, sometimes there's sediments, you know, like landslides, that you can't see them all. But if you look carefully, it's flat layer on top of flat layer on top of flat layer, and this goes around the world, and it's about a mile deep. Some places it's less than a mile, and some places it's more than a mile deep. And you can see these flat layers at Petrified Forests in Arizona and Dinosaur Provincial Park. And by the way, this is a key that all of us miss unless somebody points this out to you. The flat layers are the key. Badlands, South Dakota, the flat layers, and here at Joggins Cliffs, here the flat layers were pulled up by, tectonics, but they were flat at one point. How did these sedimentary flat layer rocks get here all over the world? There's two stories, theories, ideas, hypothesis, whatever you want to call it. One is that the sedimentary rock layers were laid down in Noah's flood. And here's how it goes. The waters rose during Noah's flood. The waters eventually got so high in the oceans it covered the continents. As this was going on, there was great plate tectonic activity, and there was earthquakes because of that. The earthquakes caused tsunamis from different locations, and these tsunamis raced across the continent and brought sediment. As they ran out of steam, the sediment, the waves stopped, and then the sediment went down to the bottom and made a flat layer. Then there's another tsunami from a different direction, bringing different colored sediment, brings it over, and now that sediment settles, and there's another flat layer. That's the Noah flood model of how the flat layers got here. Now, evolution scientists would strongly disagree, and they would say, no, like here at the Grand Canyon, these were formed by rivers flooding their banks, lakes in the deposits of sediments at the bottom of a lake, ponds, sometimes it was deserts and the desert sands were moving around, and sometimes the sea would rise. It would be a periodic, not worldwide flood, but just the oceans would come in a little bit, halfway across the continent. So now I want you to play scientist, and I want you to shout out the answer in a second here. If there was a worldwide flood, like Noah's flood, how many of these 18 rock layers that have been named should have saltwater creatures? Now let me show you these three slides first. I want to explain this. So on the continents, there was the duck, the snake, the dinosaur, land animals, and as the water rose from the oceans, it brought in saltwater creatures like sharks and starfish, etc. And they all got mixed up in the water and settled to the ground. That's the Noah flood model. If that is true, and if Noah's flood is true, I want to ask the audience, you can shout out your answer, how many of these 18 named rock layers should have saltwater creatures in them as fossils? Oh, that's a pretty quick answer. Okay. Well, I'm going to help you because I'm going to do the work for you. So the group consensus is all, your prediction is all, what is the reality? Here we go. In the bottommost layer is this saltwater creature called a sea pen. They're alive today off the coast of Washington State. Here in the next layer up in the Cambrian, there's these sponges, and sponges are saltwater creatures. And then the next layer up, the Ordovician, has these sea lilies. They're saltwater creatures. And the next layer up after that is this hard coral. that's a saltwater creature. And the next layer, that was Silurian, the next layer, Devonian, starfish, coral, shark, saltwater shellfish, saltwater snail, saltwater ray. You get the picture? There are saltwater creatures in every layer. Check that out in AI. Because if that's true, why didn't you ever hear that? And doesn't that just like, okay, this is a no-brainer. Every layer has saltwater creatures? Wow. Crab, etc. Now, there's a big problem with what I just showed you, and you haven't realized it yet, but it's where these fossils came from. Did they come from the ocean because they're saltwater creatures? No, they were found on the continents. I just showed you these 20 fossils, and now I'm going to show you where they were found and their heights, where they're at. For example, this one coral at the top, it was found near Illinois, but the level there is 600 feet above the ocean. And that would maybe in the Silurian level. And at this other one was found down in Flinders Range in Australia, and that one's hundreds of feet above the sea level. And each of these 18 animals were found in each of the 18 layers, and each of these layers is hundreds of feet above the sea level today. That is a major problem for evolution because these layers are above 500 feet, and for these saltwater creatures to be in each of these layers, that means that the ocean would have had to rise above sea level, above 500 feet, 18 separate times. Ocean would have to come up, ocean would have to go down, ocean would have to come up, ocean would have to come down, because there's land animals mixed in with these saltwater creatures. Now that sounds silly, and I would say, which is more believable? The foolish Christian idea that there was a worldwide flood, where'd the water come from, where'd it go, all those questions. But which is more foolish? That or the evolutionist standpoint, they would have to say there was 18 worldwide floods. Well, I'm going with the rule of parsimony, which says the simplest answer is usually the right answer. I'm going with one big flood. The second question for you is, how many of the rock layers, I'm talking like the Jurassic layer and the Cretaceous layer and the Cambrian layer, how many of these should have modern animals in them if there was creation and a flood? And let me lay this out to you with illustrations, okay? Think about this, because you should be able to answer this for yourself, and I want you to be the scientist. So if you believe in creation, there was Adam and Eve, they lived in the garden, they had the apple tree, they had the snake, and there was modern animals there, like a duck and the flamingo, but the Bible says that God created all the animals at once in that first week. So the dinosaurs would have had to be, not necessarily in the Garden of Eden, but they would have been there. So you have animals that went extinct and animals that didn't go extinct all together. Then this big water event happened called Noah's flood, and they all got immersed in the ocean water, and now they got mixed up. And mixed up in the rock layers, if Noah's flood is true, you would have animals that didn't go extinct, like the duck and the deer and the flamingo, mixed with animals that did go extinct after the flood, like dinosaurs or pterosaurs. So my question to you, if there was a Noah's flood, and if all these animals were living at the same time, and it was a one-time creation, how many of the named rock layers should have modern animals? Watch this, because you're going to watch history be made right now. Have you ever heard a scientist say there's modern animals in every layer? No, nobody knows this. These 900 people will now know, and the word will get out. Okay, hold on. Yeah. I want to first clarify, what is a modern animal? Modern versus modern appearing versus modern species. The evolution scientists have done a trickery, and this is really deceptive, and you'd have to spend your life looking into this to figure this out. First of all, I just want to show you some modern dog skulls, like a Chihuahua on the bottom left, the Bulldog, the Irish Wolfhound. If you'll notice, these are all the same species, Canis familiaris, they're all dogs, but look how different their teeth are. Look how different their skull shapes are. Look how different the proportionality of their skulls, wide, tall, et cetera, et cetera. They look like different animals. And if you had never met a dog and you were an evolution scientist, you would want to name these all different genus and species names, say they're different animals or different families. But the reality is they're the same species. And here's the problem, is there's great variation within a species. You look around this room, there's tall people, short people, flat-faced people, broad-faced people, whatever, et cetera. There's variation with the species. But this is what evolutionists have done, and this is why nobody has caught this. This is a modern nautilus shell. They live at 300 feet deep right now. They're from the top layer. This is what it looks like if you cut it open, okay? It's a beautiful animal, okay? It has these chambers, et cetera. This is a fossil nautilus that was found in the Jurassic layer, and now I'm going to lay them next to each other. They look like the same animal. That is crazy. Like, they do look like exact copies, you know, in my opinion. But the evolutionists changed their names. The modern is called Nautilus pompilius. The fossil is called Cenoceras lineatus. So they would say, no, evolution occurred. It went from Cenoceras to Nautilus. No, evolution didn't occur. You changed their names. You made it have the appearance of evolution. You've created the illusion of evolution by changing the names. So basically, you have to ignore all names, just like dates, ignore all their names and judge it just for yourself. Do these two look as similar as the dogs? And I would say absolutely. They look more similar than a bunch of dogs. So they'd have to be the same species. So when I'm saying modern, they're going to have wrong names on them, but you be the judge. And I'm going to take you through the rock layers. What is the reality? How many modern animals are in the layers? Here's the bottommost layer. This is a sea pen. Guess what? That's a living sea pen, and you put them next to each other, and man, do they look similar, like the dogs. They look exactly the same. Of course, they gave them different names. Here's the next layer up. Oh, she's not in the layer. This is my wife. And I don't know if you met my beautiful wife back there, but she normally doesn't look like this, and she is not happy. We're in the Caribbean, and we're filming video 2, Living Fossils. She's on the sailboat, and she came back into the sailboat. She said, I am so mad. I was like, what's the matter? I just got bit. I said, where'd you get bit? A shark? He said, no, it was a bristleworm. It's on my mustache area. And I was like, what are you talking about? She said, well, I had to snorkel in, and this bristleworm landed right here and stung me. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, Debbie, but we got to keep filming. No. Get back in the water. No. This is the animal that bit her. It stung her, okay? It's called a bristleworm. Now, I'm going up to the second layer from the bottom, the Cambrian, right? That's supposed to be old, there are no modern animals in it. Here's this bristleworm in the Cambrian layer. It's a fossil, picture of the fossil and the drawing of the animal, all on display at Smithsonian, and there's Debbie's bristleworm. To me, it looks like a modern animal in the Cambrian. We're going on. Here's the Ordovician, modern and fossil. Here's the Silurian, modern and fossil. Here's the, Devonian, brittle star. And one day, Debbie and I were walking down the beach in New Zealand. It's a common occurrence. Yeah, we were walking down the beach in New Zealand. And I said, look, Debbie, there is a stem crinoid on the shore. And I always thought these things were extinct. When I was a kid, we'd see them in the sidewalk, fossils. And so she picked this dead crinoid up, and it looks just like this fossil sea lily from the Mississippian layer. So there's another modern layer. Here's a starfish. Here's a lungfish, live at the bottom, the fossil recreation on top. They look like the same animal. A snail, a ray, a sea biscuit, a trumpetfish, and we're going up the layers. Eocene, walnut, frog, sand dollar, coral. You get it? So, in reality, modern appearing animals are found in every rock layer. Now that is big news. Now, we're going to deliver the coup de grace. We're going to do the checkmate on this thing. how many extinct animals, we already said there's saltwater animals in every layer. We already said there's modern animals in every layer. But how many extinct animals should you find in every layer if there was just Noah's flood, okay? Well, the evolutionists say that 99% of all animals that have ever lived on the earth, plants and animals, 99% have gone extinct in the past. We can compare what we have now to past. Some of that was ice age, some of it was during the flood, some of it was different reasons. But the evolutionists would say 99%. So that would mean that there's going to be, any layer you look at is going to look like all these extinct animals, and it's going to give the illusion of evolution. Because if you look at any layer, you're going to say, oh, I've never seen that animal before. Oh, I've never seen it. But that is what you expect if there was creation, a flood, and a 99% extinction rate. You would expect every rock layer to have a ratio of extinct animals, 99 extinct animals, to every one modern animal you would find if creation is true, and a flood. And this is what we find. Every layer, you find saltwater creatures. I just showed them to you, all the layers. You find modern animals. I just showed them to you, every layer. And the ratio of modern animals to the extinct animals in every layer is about 99. It looks like evolution, but it's not. It's just extinction. And that is checkmate. That is the end. Because you just predicted that there would be modern animals in every layer. You just predicted there would be saltwater animals in every creature, every layer. And the evolutionists told you that the ratio of extinction is 99 to 1. That is what is found. That's not what the evolutionist model predicts. So I wanted to mention one other thing. I'm done now, but I forgot to tell you that because I'm a doubting Thomas, you know, I don't believe anybody. I don't even believe my own mother, God rest her soul. And I don't believe my wife. I don't believe anybody because I've been burned so many times with science. And so I wouldn't believe me unless you show me the facts. And I forgot to mention that I said on the last talk that there's 150 frauds. That's a big, tall order. But I didn't mention is that we enumerated them: fraud 1, fraud 2, in the video series, episodes 3 through 8, fraud 3, fraud 4, fraud 5, all the way through 150. And so you can verify if you agree with me that those were frauds. I show you why they're frauds, because they had the knowledge that of something that they didn't tell you, etc. So my dream for this whole conference is that somehow these young ones, hey, wake up, young one, that these young ones would go through this 4-semester creation science. It's high school or 7th and 8th grade. You could start it at 6th grade. And you do all 4 semesters. By the way, I'm not making any money on this. That you then become a defender of the faith, and you can tell everybody about all the facts that we just went through. That is my heart's desire. So if you want to get the streaming video, you can go to our website. You can order the streaming video through my wife, or she'll help you order the DVDs. So thank you so much.